The new Mercedes-Benz EQS has finally been announced, and, as we were all expecting, it's set to become one of the most technologically advanced cars on sale. It's littered with sensors, 350 to be precise. It has a range of up to 478 miles, and, a bit like a Tesla, it can park itself and be retrieved using a smartphone. But the EQS is brimming with interesting quirks and features, so we've put together a list of 10 things you may have missed on the electric limo. But before we dive in, remember to hit the like button and subscribe for more awesome videos just like this one. It's easy to think of the EQS being an electric version of the S-Class, but it's actually built on a separate platform to the combustion engine limo. The EQS debuts new all-electric architecture that allows the company to move the cabin further forward in the car's design, opening up more room inside and giving the car a more futuristic look on the outside. It'll also spawn a host of other electric Mercedes models later on, though we expect it to underpin the company's larger saloons and SUVs. The EQS is the world's most aerodynamic series production car ever made. That may sound a bit odd given that cars such as the Porsche 911 GT3 RS and Mercedes AMG GT Black Series have more aerodynamic bits on them. Those are for downforce though, whereas Mercedes is boasting about how efficiently its car passes through the air. With a drag coefficient of 0.20 CD, the EQS is indeed very slippery. Now there are slipperier cars out there, a bit like the Volkswagen XL1, but that was made in limited numbers, whereas the EQS is expected to fly out of showrooms. And it should help get the car closer to its claimed range of 478 miles from the launch battery, although we should see a smaller and cheaper option available later down the line, offering around 400 miles of range. There are a lot of firsts on the EQS, including a new generation of battery technology. Now Mercedes claims its new batteries have a much higher energy density, with its range-topping option coming in at 108 kilowatt hours, marking a 26% increase over the equivalent battery in the EQC SUV. The batteries also feature 10% less cobalt, meaning they're more environmentally friendly, and the management software can be automatically updated to help extend their lifespan. Electric cars may have zero emissions, but like petrol and diesel cars, the manufacturing process is still a high emitter. But Mercedes hopes that within the next 20 years, its fleet will be carbon neutral, and the EQS marks a step towards a more sustainable future. The production process is carbon neutral, and that doesn't just include the company's own practices, but also those of its suppliers and developers. You'll also find some recycled materials inside the cabin. For instance, the floor carpets are made using recycled yarn, and the cable ducts are made from old plastics. In fact, there's around 80 kilograms worth of recycled material inside the EQS. Not bad, although the car will no doubt weigh in excess of 2 tons. Not only could we see EQS variants with a lower entry price later down the line, though pricing has yet to be announced, Mercedes has confirmed that it's working on a performance-focused version of the Silent Saloon. While it's not yet known whether it'll wear an AMG badge or not, the performance model will boast a power output of 560 kilowatts, which is 751 brake horsepower in old money. That's a huge jump over the base cars, which will come with power outputs ranging from 329 to 516 bhp. Now we don't have a 0 to 62 time for the performance car just yet, but we wouldn't be surprised if it completed the sprint in less than 3 seconds. You've heard of the hypercar, but Mercedes is the first company to launch a hyperscreen. Well, that's what its marketing team calls it anyway. Most cars built today come with centrally mounted infotainment screens that typically have a diameter of 10 inches or 25 centimeters. The EQS meanwhile features a trio of screens that are seamlessly integrated into the dash and boast a combined width of 1.4 meters. Now the panel comprises of a virtual cockpit ahead of the driver, an infotainment screen in the center, and a display for the passenger so they can do their own thing, though it's an optional extra. The passenger display will dim if the driver looks at it to prevent distractions, of course, and when there's no passenger in the car, it'll show a stylisher screensaver. Like a select few of today's EVs, Mercedes is offering OTA, or over-the-air updates with the new EQS. It's a bit like updating your phone or laptop, where improvements and new features are added through a wireless connection. At launch, it'll feature 2 driving modes, one for valets, which limits the car's features, and the other for new drivers that limits the car's top speed, though they could have more profiles added later down the line through an update. What could prove to be controversial though is that some settings are locked away unless you pay extra. All cars are capable of rear wheel steering with an angle of 10 degrees, which is seriously impressive, though instead of it being fitted as an optional extra at the factory, it must be unlocked through an OTA update that, of course, will cost you money. It's a bit like buying a computer game and a key feature being sold as DLC. We won't mention the C word here, but it's fair to say that we're all a bit more health conscious after what happened last year. Thankfully, Mercedes is playing its part by fitting its EQS with an advanced air filter that gets rid of bacteria and viruses. The HEPA, or High Efficiency Particulate Air Filter, can trap harmful particles, pollen, and other substances that enter the car when you do. It also utilises the climate control to clean the car before you step into the vehicle, and you can view a breakdown of the air quality in a menu in the infotainment system. What's more, the doors can be opened and closed without touching the handle, making the EQS the perfect car for germaphobes. If you live in a country susceptible to frequent power cuts, then the EQS could prove to be a lifesaver. Bidirectional charging debuts on the EQS, meaning you can use your electric limo as a big charger on wheels. The architecture allows for car-to-grid charging, allowing you to power your home using the battery in your EQS. Unfortunately, the feature is only available on cars sold in Japan at launch, but hopefully it'll become available through, you guessed it, an OTA update in the near future. Most cars today will come with some form of warning system that'll tell you to take a break if you've been driving for a long time. The EQS takes this to a new level by monitoring your eye movements while driving, and if it detects you're getting sleepy, it'll advise you to take a break. Interestingly, there's also a feature that sets the car up to promote sleep. For instance, it'll recline the driver's seat, change the lighting, and circulate fresh air into the cabin to help you drift off. This isn't for when you're driving, obviously, but when you're wanting to get a quick nap at a service station after long periods of driving. So there you have it, 10 things you may have missed on the new Mercedes EQS. Of course, you can head over to YesAuto.com for our full breakdown of the EQS, plus all the latest car news and reviews.